Yo, happy Monday, everybody. Today is August 10th, and the traffic here is unexpectedly high on StreamYard, which is kind of odd. The first time this has ever happened, but yeah, I waited for about 10 minutes before the live stream could take place, and yeah, this is the first time this has happened. It's just so interesting. StreamYard, go get your more data center or bandwidth or whatever that you need so more people can stream on you. Come on, man. It's unacceptable that we have to wait for our live stream to start. Our audience is waiting. The grand audience of 0 attendees is waiting. No? How unacceptable. Okay, now let's take a look at what's going on in the world of biotech. Yeah, so they got an interview here with Benjamin Oaks from Scribe, which has recently just IPO'd, about bring CRISPR to the masses. We're not going to look into that. Sionna cystic fibrosis drug fails key trial, removing threat to Vertex. Great for Vertex, sucks for patients who have cystic fibrosis. Bad news for the patients. But I guess if you're Vertex, then you can be happy about it. Jazz to buy rare epilepsy drug maker and potential $1.3 billion deal. I open up that as a tab. We'll take a look at it. Why Big Pharma is chasing the industry's most powerful supercomputer? Who knows why? No reason. The same reason that Wall Street is the what is it? The throng of Wall Street money or Wall Street what is it? Like players are chasing after uh what is it called? Damn. Semiconductors. There we go. Semiconductors and AI infrastructure for the buildup of AI. I guess that's for the same reason here, right? For great promises, taking us to promised land. Sounds good. Latigo IPO raises nearly 350 million for pain drug development, which is cool. I mean, we looked at Latigo, so I won't look at it again today. Alkeus, an unorthodox eye drug startup acquired by Tarsus for up to 800 million. You know what? I'm going to also take a look at this one because it is interesting. Well, on Fears Biotech, we got ITM drugs spurned by FDA over. Oh, got slapped for CMC. It doesn't have ITM 11 doesn't have an issue with efficacy, but it has a problem with the CMC with third-party commercial facility. Blame it on the third-party contract manufacturing organization. That sounds good. That's almost issues, and yeah, it's not looking good for the sponsor. ITM. What does ITM stand for anyway? Oh, that's Fierce Pharma. So ITM. Maybe we can take a look at what ITM is. MoonLake's nanobody boost phase 3 endpoints in psoriasis, arthritis, which is great. This is the same news as the one that we just opened. Novo, Sionna, cystic fibrosis flop, unfortunate for the patients. Celera tops most aggressive hopes, putting rivals on notice. Take a look at that one. And the rest, we'll take a look at all that later. No, we'll just start now. Silence Therapeutics launches 150 million ADS offering. Trump executive orders makes major changes to childhood vaccine schedule. I think that's a big deal, but not in terms of our news coverage for biotechs. Tonics, phase 2 with 3,000 patients while scaling Tonmia to 150 reps by September. What is that? Oh, scaling to 150 reps, like representative, not reps as in like your workout reps. Heron outlines. Heron, it's like the bird, right? No, that's with 2 R's. The bird outlines covenants through, what does that mean? Covenants through 2027 and pro forma cash of 20. That is so finance lingo. I don't even really give a shit what that means. Zymeworks game following addition to City Catalyst Watch. What does that mean? Following addition. That's kind of interesting. Protagonist upgraded at Goldman Sachs for autoimmune asset. Let's take a look at that, whatever that means. Gains following addition to City Catalyst Watch. Protagonist. Take a look at that one. Silence Therapeutic surges as divesiran trial results fuel optimism. Silence Therapeutics. SAS, what's the outlook for big pharma M&A? Not this one. Silence Therapeutics. What's that? Oh, that's Friday's news. Okay, that's it for today then. Yeah? All right. Let's go through them one by one. Alkeus? No, let's go through the Jazz one. Jazz to buy rare epilepsy drug maker Actio Biosciences, which will receive $820 million upfront, has a major upswing in private biotech buyout seen throughout this year. Jazz has agreed to buy a San Diego-based biotechnology company developing treatment for genetic epilepsies through a deal that could be worth just over $1.3 billion. A rare form of mutation of epilepsy caused by mutation in a gene known as KCNT1. Companies expect to close their deal sometime in the final 3 months of the year. Divins Active adds to a significant upswing in buyout of private venture capital-backed biotechs. Tallied 19 such acquisitions in first half 2026, eclipsing the annual total seen in each of the last 5 years. That sounds great for the world of private financing venture capital for biotech. Jazz would further expand research pipeline for one of its 2 main therapeutic areas. The company's top sellers include sleep medication. Jazz just recorded its largest ever total quarterly revenue, $1.2 billion, and those $1.2 billion will be diverted to purchase Actio. Sounds good. Highly strategic, building on the success of the Epidiolex franchise and deepening our leadership in rare and severe epilepsies. Their lead asset, coded ABS 1230, is a potentially first of its kind medicine for KCNT related epilepsy, a disease that has no approved treatments. Affects around 2,500 people. That's definitely a rare disease in the US. In more severe cases, patients can experience dozens, sometimes hundreds of seizure episodes a day. That's horrible. Designed to block overly active potassium ion channels that makes the brain circuitry hyperexcited and prone to seizures. Meaningful seizure reductions in so-called proof of concept trial, now being evaluated in a roughly 55 participant study. More prevalent genetic epilepsies brought to patients quickly and efficiently as possible. Okay, fund deal with cash on hand by drawing on existing financing. It also has undrawn borrowing capacity under a revolving credit facility of 800, whatever revolvers mean. We can take a look at it later, but who coverage that wrote in a note to clients, meaningful pipeline optionality. Though his team wants to see detailed patient level data timeline for results from that key study, as well as charity on the regulatory package before assigning material value to Actios' drug. So this dude right here, Joseph Tome, is trying to tell Jazz whether it's made a mistake or it's done a great deal. It's gotten a steal of a deal. I'm pretty sure the due diligence has also been done at the time of the acquisition. So we might not be looking at something that is really necessary at the moment. Let's see. ABS 1230. Curious about the discovery of this drug. Jazz pays 208. Why did it say 1.3 billion there, but 820 million here? Nice. I like how the AI generated picture actually put the saxophone here. So it's like as if Jazz Pharma is like actually Jazz. No. And no currently FDA approved. Meaningful seizure reduction. For 80% of these patients, arrived in infancy prevents fundamental developmental milestones like walking and speaking. Oh, that's really horrible. Having proved its worth in the initial clinical study, San Diego-based Actio has since launched a phase 1b/2a trial that could eventually support a push for FDA approval, which moved beyond sleep disorders and cancer into epilepsy space into 2021. Oh, so Jazz is an Irish company. The 7.2 billion acquisition of a cannabinoid maker GW Pharma, and that deal included approved epilepsy treatment Epidiolex, which brought in 292 million in revenue, which is what, peanuts compared to what they paid for. Dublin-based Jazz is evaluating. Jazz CEO Renee Gala describes ABS 1230's clinical profile as highly encouraging. No shit. Otherwise, why would you open up your checkbook to buy it? Type 2C. Clinical stage program, ABS TRPV4 inhibitor, other early stage programs. Minority stake in certain related rights to the spin-out. Spin-out privately held entity made up of some of Actios' management, employees, and assets that aren't relevant to ABS. Aren't relevant to ABS 1230, huh? How worthy of you to decide on your employees and their worth. Come on, Gemini. Gemini. Let's see. I can't talk today. I talk with a Chinese accent today. What is the history of Actio? What is it? Actio Bio? Bioscience. Actio Biosciences. And its lead candidate, ABS 1230. Discovery of its, while it's Gemini is doing its thinking, let's take a look at the other stuff. Alkeus brought to late stage testing a Stargardt disease therapy. That's such a cool name, Stargardt disease. I'm sure it's a bad disease, but it's just got a cool name. Stargardt disease, genetic condition that causes progressive vision loss. Yeah, that sucks, man. Look at that. It's like Game of Thrones style of vision loss. No? Purchase announced. We'll see. Tarsus Pharmaceuticals develop a range of treatment for eye, skin, and infectious conditions. Acquire Alkeus for $280 million in cash and $180 million in stock. It's selling itself. Why doesn't it mention the acquirer? Why isn't the emphasis on the acquirer but rather than the seller? Unusual journey. Startup that was run by one person for as much of its existence and built around drug license from Columbia University 16 years ago. That person, Leonid Sad, used his own money to fund Alkeus until he raised a 2 million Series A round in 2011. Alkeus then won the biotech startup competition Mass Challenge, and Sad used that opportunity to convince Josh Boger, a judge in that contest, and the Merck and Co chemist who founded Vertex, to become the startup's executive chairman in 2012. Boger stayed aboard for a few years, left, and then returned to the company from 2023 to 2025. By that time, SAD had used a series of grants to get gildoretinol through mid-stage testing, even earned a special Food Administration FDA designation to speed reviews. He'd also, after some earlier trepidation, brought in outside investors for 100 million Series B round. Since then, they have emerged as one of the leading experimental drugs prospects for Stargardt, a condition with no available treatments. Well, that is pretty inspiring. Boger told Boger calling gildoretinol if it were to be gildoretinol if it were to be successful, potentially the most perfect drug I've ever seen. Sat is now a board member rather than an executive. He's no longer listed on Alkeus' website as a director. But gildoretinol's development has progressed with not largely a company led by different. Tarsus noted Tuesday how a placebo-controlled study appeared to slow the yearly growth of those damaging clumps by 29.5%. Da-di-da. A phase 3 study is now underway, enrolling about 230 patients. By then, at least one rival Stargardt drug could be on the market. Pretty inspiring story. A one-person startup. Abcelera, women's health data, top most aggressive upside scenario, putting Astellas and Bayer's on notice. Beyond the move, Biotech's chances of challenging Astellas and Bayer for a women's health market. Compared to ABCL635 antibody targeting NK3R, a placebo in patients with hot flashes caused by menopause. Enrolled 92 postmenopausal women experiencing a mean about 10 moderate to severe hot flashes per day. By week 4, the number of hot flashes have fallen by a mean of 8.8 on an ABCL 6.5 and 3.5 on placebo. Good stuff. I'm not an expert by any means in women's health, but this is very, very encouraging. But I shall cover this no further. Sobi pens $580 million for inmates skin cancer drug ahead of phase 3 push. That has bought into Innate Pharma's vision for lacutamab, handling the French biotech $75 million upfront at the rights to market the anti-KIR3DL2 antibody for aggressive skin cancer, cutaneous T-cell lymphoma. Wow. Study is that this will be split between a confirmatory cohort for Sézary syndrome, which could support a potential accelerated approval in that indication, as well as registrational cohort, which is the most common subtype of CTCL. Companies worked out. What about pave the runway, unlock the potential? Mark Jensen, company clinical pharmacology. A Bayer veteran. Innate combine the announcement. Explore the financing opportunities, additional priorities like Nectin-4 exatecan antibody drug conjugate. Innate in the bank at the end of, that's not much, 29.3 million. Will be replacing Quarantino. Quinton, Sobi is facing his own C-suite shakeup. Guido Oikers revealing last week he will be taking the top job at the mRNA pioneer Biotech, the Swedish biopharma's commercial portfolio. Okay, that's also quite interesting. Additional 465 million biobucks tied to Sobi's option to expand its license to target 2 different diseases, or indications rather. Interesting, but okay. Yeah, maybe we should just look that up. ABS, not the ABS drug. Apsara, not Apsara. Da-da. What was the name of the drug? Sobi, right here. Innate Pharma. Innate Pharma CTCL drug. Receptor abnormal T cells induce cell death. Okay. This is quite interesting. Discovery history. And its first-in-class monoclonal antibody, the target, is expressed on a small fraction of healthy immune cells. European immunologists who pioneered Innate Pharma discovered that KIR3DL is atypically expressed in malignant T cells in patients with CTCL, highly prevalent in aggressive subtypes like Sézary syndrome. Lacutamab functions by binding specifically to KIR3DL2 on tumor cells, triggering cytotoxicity via the body's natural killer cells while sparing healthy tissue. Lancet Oncology. Dropped the parallel track monotherapy due to disappointing phase 1b data, shaping its core focus on CTCL indications. Not peripheral, but cutaneous. Good stuff. Found in... Okay, back to Actios. Let's just go over all the other news before we start this one. No thank you to Seeking Alpha. Silence surge as much as 41%. Phase 2 data in polysamara vera. What is that? Receiving clinical response. Key secondary endpoint, reducing the need for phlebotomy. What is that? Blood cancer. Oh. Phlebotomy? Let's take a look. Curiosity is the inspiration for all innovation, no? medical procedure puncturing a vein with a needle to draw blood, while routine blood draw collects small diagnostic samples. Therapeutic phlebotomies remove a full unit of a shit ton of blood to treat specific conditions like iron overload or excessive red blood cells. That sounds fucking painful. Damn. Receive treatment average 0.2 phlebotomies compared to 2.1 for patients receiving placebo. Okay. What was the blood cancer that your bone marrow makes too many red blood cells? This makes your blood thick, slows down flow, and raises the risk of dangerous blood clots. Polycythemia vera. Wow. Okay. Protagonist is upgraded at Goldman Sachs on potential of autoimmune asset. Goldman upgraded to buy from Neutral, citing oral IL-17 agonist PN881 for various autoimmune disorders. 186 price tag. It's quite pricey, ne? It's favorable PK profile. Oral 23. Yeah, let's see. Interesting. What is the target? Oral IL-17. Okay. It's oral IL-17 antagonist. That's right. Oral IL-17 antagonist. Zymeworks gained following edition. Trading after Citi added the stock to its 90-day catalyst watch list. The bank sees shares rising due to an August 25th FDA action date for zanidatamab, sold as Ziihera, first-line treatment for gastroesophageal adenocarcinoma. The drug is sold by Jazz Pharmaceuticals. Okay. Analyst Igor Nochomovitz sees the approval de-risk, considering results from the Horizon GEA-01 trial. Approval will trigger a $250 million US milestone and begin unlocking the broader $440 million global GEA milestone opportunity while supporting a larger Ziihera royalty base over time. Cool. Good for you, Zymeworks. Cashing in on a good drug, I guess. We believe blockbuster's potential and with J&J's high enthusiasm. Well, J&J's oral IL-23 receptor agonist. Icotide was jointly discovered by J&J and Protagonist. Over similar to Icotide. Comparable efficacy within various diseases. That sounds good. Let's finish up the Actios Biosciences story. They're headquartered in San Diego. Dr. David Goldstein focuses on developing precision treatments, tackle root cause of genetic disorders. Officially founded, $66 million Series B financing by Regeneron and Deerfield. Pipeline advancement. They build a pipeline anchor in two primary assets, 0871 and 1230. Their 1230 is their lead clinical asset, a potential first-in-class It's a rare da-di-da-di-da. Preclinical Actios leverage its genetics and drug discovery expertise to design 1230 specifically to neutralize overactive mechanism. In preclinical models, ABS 1230 successfully demonstrated ability to inhibit all concurrently observed pathogenic mutations in the KCNT1 gene, pointing to its potential to treat the entire patient population with this condition. Preclinical models showed that it could rapidly reduce seizure frequency, clinical progression, recognizing the urgency and severity. They granted fast track orphan drug disease designation, rare pediatric disease recognition. They advanced into the Chiron phase 1b2 clinical trial to evaluate this. Okay. The target KCNT1 related epilepsy. Preclinical models. ABS 1230. Clinical trial arena. All right. Do we still have time to take a look at what is the time right now? How much time we have? So we're already at 31 minutes. So yeah, I guess then for today, we're not gonna do anything on epilepsy, but I think we all know what epilepsy is, and yeah, it's a shitty condition with seizures. So yeah, good luck to these patients and to this company who has been developing this, and now they have a good partner in Jazz for Jazz to wait. Didn't we just see Jazz doing something else? Isn't it this one? Zymeworks. So today's Jazz is in the headline twice because Jazz, yeah, right here, right? Right here. The drug is sold by Jazz. So great news for Jazz for getting an upgrade on the rating of its, well, it's really Zymeworks, but just getting Field's recognition on its cancer drug and at the same time nabbing a really promising asset in epilepsy. Good for you, Jazz. Jazz, let's see. Jazz Pharmaceuticals main focus areas. Neuroscience and oncology. So they added one for neuroscience, which is epilepsy from Actio Biosciences acquisition. And then they got one for oncology, which is the Zymeworks drug. Wow. Good day for Jazz. Maybe it's time to buy some Jazz stock. Disclaimer here, I do not own any Jazz stock or work for Jazz. So yeah, please do it at your own risk. Anyways, Alkeus, Tarthus. Why do I say Tarthus like Arthas? Tarsus. It's an interesting partnership though. It's a good story. This is a very promising story. Obtain regulatory approval. To use his own money. Just do a quick inquiry here. How did Leonid Sad use his own money to fund Alkeus? and its drug for, what is it? It's for sale. Stargards. There, Stargards. Disease. Personal capital and proof of concept. Personally financed when the company was established in 2010. In the formative years, Dr. Sa used his own financial resources to fund the operations, focusing on developing ALK-001. This initial personal investment went directly into developing their lead cast, a specialized form of deuterated. How do you say it? Deuterated? Deuterated? Oh, keyboard got stuck. Drug was designed, bridging grants, designed later known as. It's a very inspiring story. I just find this very interesting without having answer to external venture capitalists, corporate partner. I mean, this guy itself have to be pretty loaded to begin with to fund a project like this. I mean, hats off to him and to his fortunes. And obviously, he made more fortunes after the development of gilduretinol. But in any case, no pain, no gain, right? Okay. That's it. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll see you next time. Adios.